Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Carrying on with Bab al-Tayammum. We took a few masail in the previous lesson. Inshallah, we'll recap a few. And then, bi-idhnillah, today we'll finish off the chapter of Tayammum. Bi-idhnillah. Right, in the previous lessons, we spoke about how Tayammum, a person makes Tayammum when they don't have water to make wudu. So a question I asked in the previous lesson. What happens if a person is on the aeroplane and let's say the seatbelt sign is on or there's no water, and now he needs to make tayammum to read salah. He's on a long flight, about 15 hours. What does he do, Omar?
It is allowed to use the dust on the seats.
Yeah, so wherever there's dust, if there's dust on the seat, if there's dust on the floor, if there's dust on one of the walls on the inside of the cabin, he can use it. Tell me.
Staircase also inside the. There's a little staircase inside the plane.
It's only in those.
I've read that somewhere.
It's only on those little Embraers do they have the staircase. The bigger planes, they don't really have. But wherever you find dust, okay, I'll ask you another question. We said in the previous lesson that a person can make, there's more than one opinion, but we said the easier opinion is a person can make tayammum from anything that is on top of the earth or anything that's apparent above the earth, Sa'id. So what about when you're in the aeroplane, let's say the inside that the deco and that is made of plastic and wood, and if you had to burn that plastic and that wood, etc., it would melt or it would turn into ash. Didn't we say that it shouldn't turn into ash? What do you say, Saeed?
It wouldn't be allowed then.
Omar?
If it turns into ash or it melts.
Omar?
It won't be allowed to smell.
Pardon?
If it is melting, it wouldn't be allowed.
No,
and
we said
also
that.
turns into dust.
Hold on. We're talking about differentiate between two masail. One is on anything. If there's dust on it, you use the dust, regardless of that thing can melt or not, because dust is originally from, is similar, considered similar to soil and sand. So here we're talking about the dust that may be on anything, you can use it. Then, at times, there's those things, for example, when they speak about Nura, like a limestone, they say that there's certain things that are on top of the earth naturally, even if they don't have dust on them, you can hit them to make tayammum. Do you understand the difference?
Yes, sure.
So whether there's dust on plastic or the seat or the carpet or wherever, you hit and you make tayammum. The minute there isn't dust, then you look at what's naturally above the earth. Okay? Thereafter, they give you the last third. Oh, Ibrahim is saying on the double deckers like the A380. That's correct, in fact. That's correct. Towards the last third of this chapter of Tayammum, they give you a few masail which are scattered around, but they give you those masail just so you know. The first is they tell you that if a non-Muslim had to make Tayammum, his Tayammum is not counted. Okay? And they say in the Hanafi madhab, بِخِلَافِ الْوُضُوء. They say, as for if he had to make wudu, then his wudu is counted. Why do they say that? Alam Ghair? Not here. Khaybar? Why do they say that?
To do wudu or to pray to God, you need to believe.
Why do they differentiate? Let's say I give you an example. It happened to me once. Somebody came to the masjid. It was a cold winter night. And the man said, just before Taraweeh Salah, said, I want to take my Shahada and become a Muslim. Okay? Then he says that I was at home and I showered already. So he took his Shahada. Then Salatul Isha, they start making Salatul Isha. does he have to make wudu?
Yes, because wudu, you have to have the niyyah, and that you are a Muslim. You have to believe in the oneness of God.
Hold on. You weren't with us. We're speaking about the Hanafi madhab specifically. The other madhahib, you're correct, they must have niyyah, right? What we took, Omar, anybody else has an answer, raise your hand. Ibrahim. Ibrahim, I think you're far away from us. Yeah, Omar.
Yes, that he had an intention to become a Muslim, so that counts. So he took the ghusl
No,
while
no,
he
no,
intended to become.
no. Here, we said in the Hanafi madhab, when a person is making wudu, they say that intention is not a requirement. So that person, when he cleansed himself with wudu, with water, even before he took his shahada, his wudu is counted, according to them, right? As for tayammum, we took tayammum, linguistically, it means intention. And in the Sharia, it means a person has an intention to use whatever is pure on the earth in order to be able to perform salah and do that which requires wudu. So here they say this, that's why they say for tayammum, even in the Hanafi madhab, a person needs intention. Hence, if a non-Muslim had to make tayammum before becoming a Muslim, then his tayammum wouldn't be counted. He would have to make again if there's no water. As for, according to them, if he made wudu, it's enough. Okay? Then they tell you about a person who he's hoping for water. Okay? They say Raji al-ma' from Raja. Raja is to hope. How long should he wait for, or should he wait in the first place? If the time of Salah enters upon him and he's got no water, however, let's say especially today with technology, let's say, example, the time of Dhuhr starts at 12 o'clock and it finishes at 3 o'clock. And your friend phones you and tells you, I will be coming at 2:15. Wait for me. If you want water, I'll give you. What do? Do you say that the Messenger ﷺ ordered us to read Salah at the beginning of time? Or do you wait for this water? Going to the Hanafi madhab, as long as you're still in the mustahab time, where you've got enough time to make wudu and read your Salah properly, you're not racing, they say wait for that person. Okay? So if you're hoping to get water, you wait for him. So that's one of the masail. Then they give you, and this you'll only understand when you properly, when you learn the other madhahib. When is a person allowed to make tayammum? When? First they tell you, the person is allowed to make tayammum in the Hanafi madhab even if it's before time. So let's say, for example, Dhuhr is starting at 12 o'clock. They say that even at 11 o'clock he can make his tayammum. It's same like wudu. Even at 10 o'clock he can make tayammum. It's okay. And he can read as many salawat as he wants. Why do they say that? Because the other madhahib, in some of the other madhahib, they tell you that tayammum is not exactly like wudu. They say wudu lifts up hadath. As for tayammum, it's just been given to you as a substitute to perform that salah. So according to the Hanafi madhab, they say rafi'un lil hadath. It removes the hadath. As for the other madhab, they say it's only for istibahatu salah, to allow you to perform that salah. So they tell you they have two conditions. Firstly, they tell you that you have to wait for the time to enter, number one, and number two, you can only read one compulsory salah with it. So if a person made tayammum here, going to the other madhab, okay, the beginning time of dhuhr, then he read dhuhr, then even if he doesn't break his wudu, the time of asr starts at 3 o'clock, they say he must make tayammum again. Okay, that's why if he's reading any nafil here, it's okay. But every fard salah he must read. So in order to tell you that the Hanafi madhab don't go with that opinion, they tell you that here, once a person makes tayammum, he can read as many salawat as he wants, as long as he hasn't brought any naqid from the nawaqid al-wudu, and as long as he doesn't have water, he can do that. Okay? Did you understand? and he's allowed to make his tayammum. He's allowed to make his tayammum before time. The others say he must wait for the time. Then the next mas'ala they give you, they tell you that at times there's some salawat, some occasions that even if a person has water, okay, he's still allowed to make tayammum. And they give you 2 or 3 examples. The first is they tell you if there's salatul janaza, okay, salatul janaza, somebody died, somebody, once they die, they only die once, okay. So if you had to miss that salah upon them, it's gone with that jama'ah, okay. So they say in this case, even if he's got water, if he's worried to miss the salah, he makes tayammum and he reads salatul janazah, okay. If he's fearing he's going to miss that salah. Number 2 is salatul Eid. Eid only comes twice in the year. So if he's worried that he's going to miss salatul Eid, okay. So let's say, I'll give you an example. Person reaches the musalla late and they've already started, and they, for example, let's say he takes 5 minutes to make wudu and they're already in the second rak'ah, and they're only going to take in the second rak'ah 3 minutes. By the time he finishes wudu, they're going to be finished. So here he's allowed to make tayammum and read the Eid salah. So those 2 salawat, salatul janaza and salatul Eid, on condition that he fears if he goes to make wudu properly, he's going to miss that salah. As for salatul jumu'ah, they say he's not allowed to make tayammum. Why? Because if he misses salatul jumu'ah, he can read it as dhuhr, meaning once jumu'ah is gone, then you read it as salatul dhuhr. Also, if they speak about any other salah, so for example, it happens where if a person wakes up, let's say sunrise is 6 o'clock and you wake up at 5:57, okay, you got 3 minutes left. If you're going to walk to the bathroom and you're going to make wudu and then you're going to come there, you're probably going to miss salah, okay. So in the Hanafi madhab, and not only the Hanafi madhab, this is a majority opinion. They tell you that even if you're going to miss that salah, you make wudu. So let's say you made wudu from 5:57 to 6:01, the sun has already started rising. They say then you read it as qada. Okay? So why do they tell you these masail? Generally, because there's difference of opinion somewhere. There's somebody who has an opposing opinion. So in order to tell you what the madhab is, they tell you this. And as I told you, it's a majority opinion. So much so some of the scholars say, according to the 4 imams, you're not allowed to make tayammum if you're fearing normal salah time exiting. Okay, that's what they tell you. Some people attribute saying to Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah to say the time is extremely important, and if a person is going to miss the salah, the time is more important, so you can make tayammum and read. But as I told you, a majority opinion is a person makes wudu and he reads it as qada. Thereafter, what happens if a person made tayammum and he read his Eid salah, or he read his dhuhr salah, asr salah, maghrib salah? Does he have to repeat or not? Let's say, for example, dhuhr was 1 o'clock and asr starts at 3. So that 1 o'clock came in and you didn't have water, you made tayammum, you read your dhuhr salah at the beginning of time. And then at 2 o'clock, your friend comes and he says, oh, here's a whole bucket of water. Now you've got water. You already read your salah. Do you have to repeat or not? They tell you, if you did what was upon you, i.e. at 1 o'clock, you searched around and there was no water around, you made the effort, there was no water around, you then made tayammum and you read salah, it's okay, even if that person comes with water. And they say that if the person didn't search, didn't even make the effort, then he should make wudu and he should repeat. Second last mas'ala, if you're traveling with a group of people, companions, and and they have water. Should you ask them for water or not? It's recommended that you ask them. Again, I'm just going to give you one opinion. It's recommended that you ask them because generally they won't refuse. If they give you, you make wudu with it. If they don't give you, you don't make wudu with it. Meaning you can't, you'll make tayammum. What happens if that friend of yours says, okay, I'll give you water on condition that you pay? Okay. Tell you I'll give you 1 liter of water, and it happens sometimes in Hajj, etc. where so many people, and you find 1, 2 will have water and they'll be selling. So if a normal bottle of water goes for $1, for example, generally in the supermarket, if that person is selling it to you for the similar price, $1, less than $1, a little bit more than $1, and you have the ability to buy it, then you buy it. You don't have the ability to buy it, you don't buy it, you make tayammum. If he tells you that this bottle of water, you know that the market price is $1, but he sees you desperate and he is charging you $10, for example. Here, the ulama mentioned that you don't have to buy that bottle of water, even if you had the money, because he's ripping you off. It's ghaban fahish. It's something exorbitant. You don't have to buy that water. You make tayammum and you carry on. The last mas'ala that they speak about is if a person, Allah protect one and all, if a person has the majority of his body has, they say, juruh, is wounded, has scars, gashes, wounds, bruises, etc. Should he gather between washing and tayammum? So let's say, for example, you got a person who has been in an accident. Okay, Allah protect one and all. This person, due to his burns and his injuries, etc., let's say he can only use water on part of his body. Okay, should he use water on that part of his body? For example, let's say only his top quarter here, and the rest, should he make tayammum or not? They say you don't have to gather between the two. If he's got water, he washes whatever he can, and sometimes if they've got bandages, etc., they can wipe over the bandage, and if they can't, then they leave it. They don't have to put dust on it. And if a person is unable to use water in that situation, he would make tayammum. So you don't have to gather between the two. That's their point. Any questions? We took tayammum, how to perform tayammum, what to use when making tayammum, and some of the masail I mentioned. Omar?
Like when you mentioned regarding the running out of time, the person wakes up at 5:57 for his salah.
Your voice is not clear. I can't hear you.
Yeah.
I can hear a lot of
In
noise.
Hanafi Muslim. In Hanafi Muslim. So, also, that's
No, I can't hear you. Type is better.
Okay,
Type
type.
is better. Okay. Ibrahim?
Right. So when it comes to missing a salah, it's not allowed to do tayammum, right?
Yeah, according to the majority of the scholars, when you pressed for time, let's say you've got 1 minute left for the sun to set now, you never read your asr. And as you know that if you manage to read 1 rak'ah, it's as though you've caught the salah. Okay? So a person says, let me make tayammum quickly, and at least if I get 1 rak'ah, I would have got it in time. So they say, no, you can't make tayammum. Go and make wudu, even if it takes you 5 minutes, the sun set, and you read your asr salah as qada. And that's, as I told you, is a majority opinion. Rahim?
I heard in some people in the masjid, they say, if you fear you're going to miss the jamaat, then you do only the fard of wudu, and then join the jamaat instead of doing the full wudu.
Okay, here you're talking about wudu only. Wudu has fara'id and wudu has sunan. So as you know, sunnah is not compulsory. Okay? The sunnah, so for example, everyone agrees that washing 3 times is sunnah. So I tell you only do it once. That's okay. There's no harm. because you haven't left something. Now, where the issue comes in with wudu and tayammum is you've got from the conditions for salah to be correct, okay, the person must have wudu. They telling you that he's got the water available to make that wudu. It's his fault or his mistake that he's not on time. He must still go and make that wudu before he performs his salah, regardless of the time. That wudu is a condition, and the majority of them, they say we are not budging on that. I told you there's one opinion, which is a minority opinion, to say no, the time is more important. Understand? Tayammum works for janaba according to all the madhahib if the person doesn't have water. Okay? Janaba, hayd, etc. That's why Allah says, if you don't have water, فَلَمْ تَجِدُوا مَاءً فَتَيَمَّمُوا صَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا, and make tayammum. Let's see an example. So an example you gave for running late for Eid Salah. If a person wakes up and just 3 minutes are left and he's on janaba, then also he can join Salah with tayammum. Correct. Correct. Built on this principle.
And Sheikh, I also read that with the airplane example, when you cannot even find dust, there's no water, you can also not find dust, and it is allowed to